Bonjour, bonsoir, buenas noches, dear friends. We're going to spend a delightful time tonight on this JCB Live with a fabulous personality. She is coming from the fabulous, extraordinary country of Cuba originally. Came to the United States in the Ivy League world of Harvard. Then graduated from the best schools, became a fabulous lawyer. It's a lot of fabulous, but she is fabulous. And she ended up marrying a wonderful man in the world of wine, Mr. Truchard. And now she's running a campaign, and she'll tell us all about it. So we're delighted to have the famous Suzanne Truchard with us to tell us all about her life, her incredible parcours, and all the things she's doing as a key woman leader, entrepreneur, innovator, and an amazing person. Here she is.
Cheers.
Bonjour.
Salud.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien, ¿y tú?
Debemos hablar en español.
Si quieres, podemos hablar.
El acento de Cuba es suave.
Es suave.
Es la seducción.
Un poco difícil de entender a veces.
A veces. Pero salud,
Salud.
amor y ¿qué más? No dinero.
No dinero. Y éxito.
Éxito.
Salud.
So, en español means success, dear friends. So, we have it all. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we are so honored to welcome you.
Big vessel.
JCB 69.
So fantastic.
What does it make you think?
Well, it's a house staple at our house. So for me, it's a very familiar taste, and I always enjoy some sparkling wine.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And it comes a long way because Suzanne is an expert in wine, and she worked in the wine world for quite some time.
Yes.
But Suzanne, let's go to the source.
Sure.
Cuba. How was it to be raised in a way in Cuba?
Well, it's actually, my world is really the Cuban bubble of Miami, because our family left Cuba in the early 60s, the Cuban Revolution. We had about 1,000 acres of land. And overnight, as many of you are familiar with that history, we lost everything. So my grandparents arrived with their suitcases, and my parents at the time were younger and had to start from scratch, and really everything from driving trucks to washing dishes, scrounging up money to pay the rent and to start their business again. So they were jewelers in Cuba and farmers. And so that was how, Miami, every Cuban has their story and their journey through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. And then I came along. My father joined the Navy. He was an engineer in the Navy, and I was actually born on the naval base in Puerto Rico. And then I moved to Miami when I was a young girl, and then grew up in this, I call it the Cuban American bubble, which sometimes, has its amazing things, has its passion and spice, but then sometimes it's hard to break out of that. And so I ended up doing that, and you're familiar with this story, when I left for college. And it wasn't easy because it's a lot of people don't encourage you to leave. And at that time, in high school, I got into all the Ivy League, Harvard, Princeton, and then also Georgetown and Michigan. And
congratulations.
Thank you. It was an amazing, difficult and challenging, but amazing feat. And then at the end of the day, I come from humble middle class, beginnings, and at that juncture, my parents couldn't afford, even though we got financial aid and scholarships, Harvard. And my parents are divorced, and there was, have your mom pay for it or your dad. And I was in tears, 17 years old. What do I do? Mommy.
It's hard enough to get into Harvard. Second, you have to pay for it.
Right. And things have gotten much better since then. But, my mom said, if you want to go to Harvard, do you want to go to Harvard? And I said, Mommy, they tell me there is no other choice. Once you get in, you have to go. So, to her credit, my mom got on the phone and started calling all our relatives. And she called my grandparents. I still get choked up every time I tell this story.
For sure.
Suzanne quiere ir a Harvard, ¿qué tú puedes dar? And my grandfather says, si tú quieres ir a Harvard, tú vas a ir a Harvard. And he said, yo puedo dar 2,500. I can give 2,500. And other family members and, friends. And basically that's how I got there. The first semester, and then once you're there, and
That was really crowd family funding.
it was crowdfunding at that time, and I think that's part of one of the reasons pushing me to run for office was now it's my turn to give back to the community when the community was there for me.
That's right.
And so that was the journey, and but it's very hard, because you're torn between Miami, that's a fun town. You have family, you have the comforts of home, and taking that step to leave.
And what did it bring to you? Not just Harvard, but leaving home and really becoming who you are. How was that?
I think it was a true appreciation for my Cuban culture, which I never realized was so different. I didn't realize I had an accent. Even here, people tell me all the time that I sound like Gloria Estefan, and so, which I think is really funny because we obviously, from the similar backgrounds. And so I think definitely appreciation of, Cuban food, the Cuban music, and just the unique environment in which I was brought up. And so, and we all have our experiences. We're all a product of our experiences, but definitely it made me kind of more Cuban when I left that.
Yeah, and what is it? I've had the pleasure to go to Cuba many times.
Yes.
And, very fortunately, Cuba has imported a lot of the fantastic French wines we make.
Yes.
And they consume it and enjoy
Yes.
it, not just in the hotels, but it goes well with the food.
Yes.
What is it to be Cuban in the United States today?
So Cubans in the United States have had a totally different journey than Cubans on the island. Right now there's things are probably the worst they've ever been. And it's just a challenging situation there. And it's happy and sad. I've been to Cuba twice. I did my thesis on Cuba. And, you feel comfortable with the people, but you see the suffering.
Yes.
Whereas the Cubans that left, essentially built Miami, and as we say, we're hustlers. We work hard, we get the job done. We're extremely passionate about things, and so there's definitely two different universes. But what I've seen is the success of the Cuban, sort of diaspora is because they're very united.
Yes.
Yeah. And most of them went to Miami, but a lot went to New Jersey, to Los Angeles, etc. Yeah, they're everywhere. Everywhere I travel. I was in Spain in a street corner and I met a Cuban. I was, there's a saying in Spanish, "Estamos hasta en la sopa." We're even in the soup. And so, yeah.
And where, maybe it's a little digression, but first, a toast to your incredible
Salud.
curriculum.
Thank you.
Yes, and we'll go back to it, but
sure.
Where do you see Cuba going these days?
Oh gosh,
I know it's a big question, but
is.
as we're going to go back to the future now, I mean, what a beautiful
I need some Roussan to
place.
discuss that. I know.
Yes.
But you see it in its decrepit state. You see the buildings collapsing. There's no infrastructure. My cousins that are there, they're graphic designers, and there's no hope. There's no upward mobility, which is really challenging. And I don't know if you're familiar with the protests that happened on the 11th of July, which was the first time, thanks to Obama sort of opening up the internet on the island, that simultaneous protests throughout the island were held, which is unprecedented for Cuba because they usually sort of squash any opposition right away. But that was sort of an initial step, which I hope will bring that democratic change. That people are so thirsty to just be free, to live their own lives, to be able to build what they want and do the things that most democratic free countries allow.
That's right. So you're hopeful.
I am hopeful. One can never lose hope. It is hard when I talk to my cousins on the island and friends on the island, because you can tell that they're frustrated, and people with small children, their salary is $4 American a month. How do you even survive?
That's crazy.
Their resources are just squandered by the communist government. So that's been it's challenging for sure. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful place.
It is beautiful.
We hope it will open one day.
Yes.
So you went then to Northwestern.
Yes.
And then got your law degrees.
Right.
And how was it for you to assert yourself as a woman within the legal world?
It's not easy, as many women can attest to. There are definitely situations where I, walked into a conference room and, you're mistaken for an assistant, or you're ordered to get coffee or certain things like that. And those things are frustrating. But then you meet other women that identify you and they uplift you, the women that want other younger women to succeed. And I had, 2 or 3 mentors like that. That was fantastic. But you have to carry yourself differently. You definitely have to much higher standard. Mm-hmm. They look at how you dress. They look at every little detail. So certainly we've come a long way, but there's always work to do.
For sure.
Yes.
And where did you see a great evolution in the last few decades on that note?
Oh, absolutely. Just young women of color, you see much more diversity in the legal world. And I saw that even through law school and beyond. In Miami, most people are Hispanic. But even, leaving that world, when I was interviewing for jobs in San Francisco, which that's what brought me to Napa at that time, you see that diversity. And, there's always room because you see wages different. But
yes,
in terms of childcare and all these issues at the forefront, and I think in large part due to social media and the communication, the interactions that we have are becoming much more public. So,
what do you recommend to all the women out there with great degrees and education like you, or some who just want to ascend in the org chart of the world?
I would say the most important thing, what I've learned, is you just don't take no for an answer. You just get it done. You do have to be a little relentless, and sometimes people think that you're being mean or too strong. I get that all the time. You need to calm down. Or that my tone, but they wouldn't say that to a man. And the same thing with me running for supervisor. They say, how are you going to do it with, you have 2 small children? And I say, would you ask that question to a man? I don't think you would. So for me, it's let the noise drown out, and just stick to your course and work as hard as you can. I don't know how else to work except hard, and that's what I've been doing all my life.
Fantastic. Now, talking about work,
yes,
your charming husband,
yes,
John,
yeah.
Juan.
Well, John is, I know, this is the funny part. That's the brother-in-law, Anthony. Yeah, but John's middle name is Anthony, with
I know.
Decades of confusion. Yeah.
We love them both.
Yes, they're wonderful people.
He's a great lawyer as well.
Yes.
And decided to join the family business.
He did.
And to run the wonderful Truchard wine we have.
Yes.
So let's have a toast to Anthony as well.
Yes.
And
holding the fort down at home.
That's right. So how is it to be in the wine world?
It's been a wonderful window into such a beautiful, giving and thoughtful agricultural community. I have to drink, otherwise it's bad luck. So I'm gonna.
Exactly.
This is our Roussanne, by the way, which is one of our boutique white wines.
Yeah, and as you describe us what it is to be in a family business, this is a fabulous wine. So Roussanne, dear friends, Rhone grape variety,
right,
which is very original for this area of California. So I'm delighted. In fact, I'm so delighted that I'm going to abuse of a little more. Because when it's good, you want more.
I know. We always say at our house, or we're on allocation at my house, because we say we're not sold out, we're drunk out, because my father-in-law, this is one of his favorites, and it goes pretty quickly at our house.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the winery and what it is to be associated with a great family in the wine world.
So Truchard Vineyards is one of these stories that is just hard work and grit. Arriving in the 70s, practicing. Speaking of my father-in-law Tony, he was a physician Monday through Friday in Reno. On Fridays, would pack the 6 kids into the Suburban, and they lived on a trailer on the vineyard. And my husband Anthony and his brother John worked. There's pictures of them as small children working the vineyard, and really this relentless pursuit of a passion, and they were able to build that, and that was throughout the 70s and 80s and 90s when things really took off in the Napa scene. And well, historically, I guess the Judgment of Paris was the 76, but for them, that's when they were able to move to Napa full time. And then, yes, my husband came back in 2005 to help with the family business, and he never left. And
he was himself a great lawyer for Chanel.
He was a patent attorney, exactly. Great, impeccable memory, as always. He was, yeah. We joke about that. I say, I wish I would have met you at that point, but we have a.
Well, I'm sure you have a few Chanel bags
Yes, well,
here and there.
Yes, there's a lot of nice. There's nothing wrong with liking nice things, and that was my first signing bonus. I bought myself a Louis Vuitton a briefcase, and that was kind of like, I've made it. Now you realize there's a lot of other things that define success.
Sure.
But you're 25 years old, yeah. So it's a very small operation. It's yours is also a family operation, but on a grander scale. This is a mom and pop at the end of a gravel road. It's a beautiful, beautiful vineyard, and the office is above the garage. The winery is in a barn, and it's just a really, really special place. We actually got married there. It was Cuban invasion of Napa that weekend.
We love it.
I know. And my mother-in-law, they're from Texas, and they said, this is the wildest party we've ever had at the winery. And I said, I believe it.
On that note, what would you pair this beautiful Suzanne with as far as Cuban food?
Oh my gosh. So one of my favorite dishes is camarones enchilados. So it's kind of like it's like a seafood stew, a tomato-based stew. You can do it with lobster, with langosta or camarón or shrimp. And the sofrito, has peppers, onions, garlic. We love to cook at our house. And so that one is definitely one of the ones that I would pair with the Suzanne.
So, very busy husband. You have an incredible career as a lawyer, real estate.
Yes.
And obviously now running for office.
Yes.
So how do you manage the kids in between them? Have they shrunk or?
No, they come along with me on the campaign trail. So that's been kind of one of the greatest joys, that they are understanding the sacrifice that it is, to run for office, to be there for the community. And they are knocking on doors with me, and they are, handing out, my campaign flyers, and really, we just make it work. I don't know how else to be but busy. I should probably be better about taking some time, but I'm always, like my friends say, electrica, always trying to do something.
And why did you decide to run?
Well, for me, I felt I've looked at, I've been here now 12 years, which is hard to believe. And on the county level, a lot of people come here and they see the vineyards and they see these beautiful wineries and this agricultural space. All the decisions that are made at the county level are really critical in shaping the landscape for Napa County and for the valley as a whole. And with my legal training and sort of with my background and experience and connection to the Hispanic community, I really felt compelled when I learned of the opportunity, which is when basically the incumbent from my district was retiring.
And many of our friends are all around the world. We
Yes.
live in a blessed area, Napa
Yes.
Valley. It's La Ciudad de Los Angeles.
Exacto.
I mean, it's hard to imagine being blessed so well by beauty, by community, by friendship of people, by visitation. I mean, it's kind of the place on earth.
It really is. And I call it one of the wine capital of the United States and one of the great wine capitals of the world. And we have to ensure, that we protect it and that, we balance sort of the environment and so many things that come into play with the community in Napa Valley.
So on that note, what do you mean by that as far as the environment? What do you think needs to be done in Napa Valley?
I think, I think actually the vintner community and the community as a whole is very conscious, environmentally conscious, particularly after what we experienced with the fires in 2017, 1920. And so we are, aware of, steps that we can take to protect our spaces, to protect our water sources, all of those things. So managing those resources thoughtfully and carefully so that we grow in a conscious manner is really, what it's about.
For sure. What is the most important part of what you see needs to be improved here in Napa Valley?
I think, being a Hispanic here, what I see, I've been privy to many worlds in Napa. And I jump between, being in a, community housing project in an apartment with, 9 people living in it, trying to help them with their, legal issues. And then I jumped to the vintner world, and it's this beautiful and wonderful and generous community. And I do think that there's a kind of a tale of two Napas, and I hope to bridge the gap between those two.
That's right.
Right. And so that really is where, you know, one of the many reasons that compelled me to run. And so, you know, every society and every community has their issues, but that's one thing that I've noticed, that, you know, there's these little pockets that don't know each other and don't interact, and we really need to change that.
Mm-hmm. And what do you wish as interactions to happen? What ought to be the outcome? Just building more of one community rather than two worlds, or what,
yeah, you know,
what would be on the agenda there?
I think, you know, the issues that affect, you know, the vineyard workers or the people are totally different, and some people are just unaware of the struggles. And, you know, they're thankfully, I mean, through the vintners, through the grape growers, the wine growers, there are so many programs that they can tap into, but a lot of them don't even know, and a lot of them are treated differently, you know, even in the school system because of languages. And so kind of, you know, I think communication and bringing that to the hardest workers I know would be key.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, where do you see the wine world going as well? Because you are a very knowledgeable wine lady. You've worked in the wine world with a variety of different companies as well.
Yes.
Where do you see this Napa, Sonoma, phenomenal destination evolving?
You know, Napa to me will always be the iconic, the apogee, if you will, of American winemaking. Even though there's beautiful wines coming out of Sonoma and Paso, what we do see is that a lot of people see Napa as unattainable in terms of price point, visitation, etc. And so I think we need to bring the next generation kind of awareness to Napa and say, this is not just your uncle's place or your dad's place or mom to visit. And I think that we need to work with organizations like Visit Napa Valley, like the Napa Chamber of Commerce, to really bring that awareness. So yeah, I think that's definitely a challenge, because there's so many other really interesting places, you know, to visit within California and Oregon and Washington. But I think that connectivity is key with the next generation of wine drinkers.
That's right. And how do you feel we should really bring that new generation? On that note, let's have a toast to your next.
Oh my goodness!
A
What a
state
treat.
bottle again, Truchard.
Yes, this is our Cabernet Franc.
Ooh la la. Dear friends, I'm in love with Cab Franc. I've always been, but this is so delightful.
250 cases, really boutique production. So pretty. It's my favorite in the reds, of the Truchard reds.
So with what Cuban food? Because I'm going to start a Cuban theme at home. I love it. I've been there many
I'll
times. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
So the reds, you can definitely do a heartier dishes. Anything. So rabo encendido, which is actually really hard to make. It's a braised oxtail. Yeah. It's delicious. That would be amazing. And then Cubans, we roast the whole pig, the lechon. And
you call it the lechon.
Lechon, yeah. Which is definitely, when I said that here with the Mexican community, they're like, ¿Qué cosa es lechon? And they say cerdo. And so, we roast the whole pig, either if you have a large enough smoker or barbecue, or in the caja china, which is what we use at home. I'll bring it over.
I will do it.
To Chez Boisset. Yeah. And so, that's a great pairing.
And so, to come back to the wine world,
sure.
You not only you're bullish, of course, but what are the key things we all should be thinking about as wine producers as well, within the world of Napa Valley that you know?
Well, I think what you're doing, for example, through these fabulous JCB lives, one of my professors always told me, you know, you have to be at the interface of two or more disciplines, and that's where innovation happens. Yeah. I took this course called Quality of Healthcare in America, and this professor had looked at errors that were happening in the hospitals, you know, different tubings, et cetera. And he looked at how they reduced errors in the aviation industry and brought those solutions to healthcare. So that's what I'm talking about, two or more totally different disciplines. And what you're doing with wine, with technology, you know, with the experiences, bringing that sort of experiential sort of sensation to light is really, fantastic. So I think, you really have to work on innovation and interaction, with it's becoming a lot easier, but by the same token, it's so competitive because there are so many amazing wines.
That's right.
Right.
Shall we speak more in Spanish on our packaging as well?
Claro que sí. I always say that. Yes, yo creo que sí. Absolutely. There's a huge, Hispanics, I think, are the largest minority. Hispanics and African Americans, probably, I should say. I would have to look up the stats, but a lot of them, they don't go into the wine that deep because a lot of, the older generation can't read the English.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or even maybe have a little QR code that they can get the translation.
I agree.
That'd be fun.
I know our marketing department is listening, so that's
there.
Great.
You go.
Here we go. This is marketing research.
Giving away all my ideas.
We love it. So, in terms of what you want to see happening in our community, what are the big 2 or 3 things you want to see really compellingly happen as now and soon, we hope, a lady in charge?
Well, I'm one of 5 on the board, and I think that's an important thing, to realize that you do have to collaborate, with the 4 other supervisors. It's really about coming to a decision. What is the best decision for Napa County? And again, we've done a great job. We've come a long way, especially on the fire issue.
Yes.
And how we combat the fires, how we prepare for fires. So those things I think have come a long way, and we'll continue to build upon that. And we will do the rain dance and pray to the rain gods to have abundant rain. But if not, we do have to.
We're going dancing tonight. So
yes, let's do it. Salsa dancing. He's an incredible dancer, by the way.
Well, incredible, I don't know. But when you have Cuban sangre next to you, it's easy.
It's fun. Yes. Yeah. That's my... I teach Zumba on the side.
That's right.
And it's a lot of fun to get that energy out. Yeah. There's not a lot of dancing clubs in Napa. It's a pretty sleepy town after 9 p.m., I would say.
We should change that.
Yes, absolutely. We should do a pop-up salsa night here.
So what inspires you? Because you are a dynamo. So many great projects you're leading. So many phenomenal involvement you have. What's your overall inspiration?
Well, that's evolved over the years. Like I said, this is who I am, and I just don't know how else to be except to work and to do the things that I gravitate. But now, honestly, having children, they really have inspired me. They're like we all do. There's times,
How old are they now?
Anthony will be 8 in a couple weeks. Actually,
another Anthony.
I know, Anthony the third.
Jr.
Yes, no, he's the third.
Third.
Yes,
Ooh.
and we're actually my campaign kickoff is in 2 weeks, October 28th. It's his birthday. I said that was the only day. Yes, so I hope you all can be there. It's at Feast It Forward in downtown Napa,
Great.
The Oxbow District,
For sure.
and it's gonna be there's gonna be a live salsa band and some bites from different local businesses, and there will be wine, of course, and we would love to have as many community members there as possible. So anyway, so my son will be 8 on that day, and Zuzu just turned 5. She was named after the daughter in the movie It's a Wonderful Life, which is
so cute.
Which is one of my favorite movies, and my husband's as well. And so, talking about inspiration, some mornings you wake up and you're tired and you don't want to do it, but then I know that I'm a role model to them. I know that they're looking at me, and it just pushes you forward, and you just keep going. Even on the campaign, a lot of people, 99% of the people are so nice when you knock on their doors. Other people, you get a curmudgeon every now and then, and they say, "Mommy, why wasn't that person nice to you?" I said, "Oh, maybe he was having a bad day, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your spirit and your
That's right.
goodwill." Yeah.
So what's your passion besides all of that? We know it's Zumba.
Well, I do love to dance. I teach yoga as well.
Wow.
And so that's sort of my outlet, if you will. And so definitely those are 2 of my passions. And of course, travel. And I think, we've definitely instilled that into our kids as well. They love traveling, and we travel a lot because of the winery, and we took them to Japan, and that really shaped, their way of thinking. And so I say, would you rather go Disney World or Tokyo? And they're, Tokyo, mommy.
Oh, really? Great. Not just for the food. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. The food is pretty amazing there. So, we're on to your wine.
So,
Fantastic.
well, we got to continue and we'll conclude with a Raymond wine.
Of course.
Which is phenomenal because the Truchard complements so well the Raymond as well. We don't do a Roussanne. We do a Cabernet Franc, but not to that area, which is great because we are more in the southern Napa area.
Right, exactly.
And now this is the wine of seduction. The wine, dear friends, that sideways kind of challenged.
I know.
And, you know, Merlot is stronger than ever, specifically that level. It's from right here in Rutherford.
So delicious. Really beautiful. And what you've done with this property, you know, Charles, I remember, gosh, years ago when I worked around the corner and I came to the grand opening, and it was so special. It was so full of life. And
we were touched you came.
It was really, really nice. Yeah.
Well, and we're going to have you for a big event.
Yes.
Coming up in a few weeks.
I can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be great.
So we're going to host as many as you who wants to come to propose the plan and the grand vision of Suzanne for the beautiful area of Napa Valley.
Yes.
So, Suzanne, a fun story you've had with the Wheel of Fortune. You're going to tell us about that because how many of us have dreamt to be on that show?
Oh,
watched it.
It's such a wild story. My sister was the one that wanted to be on there, and there was a contestant search at a mall in Miami. Long story short, they ended up picking me, and I was on the show. This was 21 years ago, and it's really exciting and a totally surreal experience with Pat Sajak and Vanna White and. You know, and I won the whole thing on the show, and this is the funny part, which was great. I won $20,000, and we make it to the bonus round, and it's really, my heart is, you know, just beating.
$20,000,
yeah.
That's big.
Well, I know, especially in college, yeah.
College 21 years ago, wow.
Yeah. And so the phrase comes on, and I didn't get it. I missed the bonus round, and the phrase was bridge the gap. And I can't tell you all, to this day, weekly, that phrase haunts me. I will be reading an article in the New York Times, and it'll say, you know, the consumer needs to bridge the gap between these two entities, or I'll be on a conference call with a client, and he said, why don't you bridge the gap? And every time, it's a dagger in my heart because but, you know, talking about the two communities, you know, I may make it part of my campaign of bridging the gap between the several worlds of the people in Napa.
For sure.
Yeah, I never thought of it.
So much fun. The Wheel of Fortune.
It was fun. And the wheel is very heavy, by the way. For everyone always asks me, it weighs a ton and you got to put all your strength into it. But well,
yoga, salsa.
Yes.
You know, all that. You have a lot of energy.
Yeah. As you say, coming from you, that says a lot.
Thank you. Where do you think, Suzanne, you actually capture that energy? Tell us about that, because you really believe in energy coming from obviously the vibration, the frequency coming from above and below.
Yes. Yeah, no, I draw my energy certainly from the people that, with whom I'm surrounded. And when I want uplifting energy, that's when we get the dancing and the music and all those things. If I need to ground myself, that's, when I turn to yoga. So it's kind of that, some people will only stick to one discipline, but I like sort of the Renaissance philosophy of having all of that enriching your life.
So what's your dream, Suzanne? I know it's a big last question. If you had a dream, besides obviously being elected, that goes without saying.
Right.
In general, in life, what do you want to see happening?
In my life or in society as a whole?
Well, both maybe.
Oh my goodness, that's a loaded question.
Well, we know you can answer. She has a brain much better made than mine. I don't know why it's inequality. Her wires were better done. I'm going to complain to my parents.
Oh my goodness. No, for me, I've always been drawn, to running for office because you can serve your community. And especially at the local government level, you really can provide tangible solutions, for people, whether it's a pothole or resolving an issue, internationally with a visa. I just helped a friend that was trying to get her mom out of Argentina. So many issues that come up in families and day-to-day life. So for me, resolving those and the gratitude that people are so thankful that is my dream. And that to me, and seeing all of us want to see our children grow up, all of us want those sorts of things, but to be able to help people and make that impact in society is definitely, I think, has always been a dream. It has. And now that I'm articulating it, it really is.
That's very impressive.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing it.
Oh my gosh.
Because
My pleasure.
you don't know all of you Suzanne yet, but she doesn't have to do this. And that's the beauty is, within you, you have that willingness to serve.
It is, and it is not a glamorous position, but it's an honor, and it's a privilege, to serve public office. It's very important, and you're making a lot of decisions that affect the community. And so,
Yes.
I remember when you have to submit your intention to run, you file it with the county, and I just remember signing it, and again, your heart pounding, and it's because that you want to be able to make that difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm having goosebumps, but it's so exciting. I really commend you for
Thank you.
for your leadership and your fabulous inspiration and all that you're going to do as well in the future.
I
That's
hope
going to
to.
make our region better.
I hope to. Yes.
So maybe now the big message, there's a last question. To our moments together, you have people from all over the world and all different kinds of background.
Amazing.
Is there maybe an advice or message you have for them?
I would say, pursue your dreams, do what you love, and everything will fall into place. I never in a million years thought I would be living in Napa, running for office. It's these trajectories of your life that end up happening because of you pursuing what you want. So never forget that.
Lovely advice, dear
Salud.
friends. Salud, amor y éxito.
Éxito.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Suzanne Truchard, merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous.